Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on Dark Days. Dark Days, there's basically lots of monsters, all of them dark element, that are gonna be on sale, and I'm gonna tell you who I think is worth buying. Now keep in mind guys, at the end of the day, I am just a regular player like all of you guys, so by no means am I saying you have to listen to me, or am I saying that what I say is definite. Feel free to buy whoever you want. If you want a monster just because he has a cool design, go ahead and buy him. If you want a monster just because you feel that you need that monster in your collection, go ahead and buy him. The most important thing is that you buy whoever you want. Don't be swayed by people telling you, you need to have this monster, you need to have that monster, because honestly, as long as you get a monster that makes you happy, that's really all that matters, right? But I'm just going to jump into who I think is worth getting, and my hope is that this will help those of you that are kind of like on the fence on who to actually get. So we're going to start things off by looking at Monster Wiki, which is where I always get all my information from. So if you haven't checked out the website, please make sure to check out monsterwiki.com. It is by far the most useful Monster Legends website I've ever used. So anyways, let's look at what monsters are actually on sale. There's 21 dark monsters that are going to be on sale, 3 of which are actually epics. That means that 18 of them are legendary. Now currently in the game there's 24 legendaries. There's going to be 25 dark legendaries once Harusami actually gets released. So a few of them are left out, some of the new ones are left out, but that doesn't really matter. None of them were too important, with the exception of Jabeline, but I'll probably talk about her later on in a future video once she actually goes on sale. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to move over to the game. As you can see, in 1 hour and 11 minutes, this offer is going to expire. It's MMO, Noctum, and Dr. Hazard. And every single monster costs 225 gems. When a monster is 225 gems, that is the perfect time to buy a monster. That's the lowest price they'll ever go to. And you can actually buy all 3 legendaries for 525 gems, which is a steal. Now if I'm looking at this correctly, I'm going to go back to Monster Wiki. The first 3 monsters, MMO, Noctum, Dr. Hazard, they're the ones that are going to be bundled. So if this continues, that means that Will, Mommy, and Sir Slumberly, they're going to be on sale next, and then it's going to be Erebus, Krampus, Losty Ghost. So if that's how the groupings are, based on what I'm looking at right now, I don't think any bundle of 3 monsters is worth buying. The closest probably is the second one, which is Will Razorface, Mommy, and Sir Slumberly. And I think that's the closest because Will and Mommy are definitely worth buying. Sir Slumberly, I don't think he's that great. So it's up to you if you want to spend an extra, what is that, 525 minus 450, the extra 85 gems to buy a legendary. 85 gems is a cheap price, but are you ever going to be using that monster? That's what you have to ask yourself. Now, of course, that's just assuming that the pairings are in a line of 3, you know, MMO, Noctum, Dr. Hazard, and then the next row, and then the next row, and then the next row. And if it's not like that, then hopefully by the end of this video, after I say which monsters are really good and I think are worth getting, maybe you can decide for yourself if a group of 3 monsters are worth buying. So I'm gonna start off by answering the #1 question that I get the most, and that is which monster is worth buying on Dark Days. And that is to say, if you only had one choice, you had absolutely one choice of any dark monster from this list, who should you buy? The answer to that is easy. The answer is Krampus. Krampus is the most amazing dark monster by far. Currently he's #1, he's undisputed because he's a deny monster. He has an AoE freeze, a single freeze, he has skills that give 2 negative effects and burning, one that gives poison. Aside from that, he has one of the fastest speeds overall for all the dark monsters. So in terms of all deny monsters, he is the fastest, so there's absolutely no competition. As far as Team Wars go, it is also important to know that no dark monster is immune to freeze, so the fact that he has 2 free skills, the chances of you getting 3 coins are really high. After Krampus, you can really get one of 2 monsters. You can either get Mommy or Will Razorface, and my suggestion would be to get Mommy first. The reason Mommy is really good is that she's another deny monster that has an AoE stun, at the same time she has possession skills. So yes, quite a few dark monsters I should say, are immune to possession, but a stun skill is amazing for dark monsters because until Harusami is released, no dark legendary is immune to stun. So having that AoE stun, that could also really help you get 3 coins in Team Wars. And similarly, Will Razorface, he also has an AoE stun skill, but this monster is a little more interesting because not only can he be a deny monster, if you wanted to, you can pack some strength runes on him and he can be a really great attacker. He actually has one of the best power stats for dark monsters. So Will Razorface is really versatile. However, just because the Mommy has that added possession skills, that's why I would recommend buying her before I recommend you buying Will Razorface. So just to summarize the 3 monsters I recommend you buy, and this is the order. Buy Krampus first, no matter what. He is the best dark monster in my opinion. After Krampus, buy Mommy. After Mommy, buy Will Razorface. Now if you notice, I mostly gave the suggestion of buying deny monsters. If you have enough deny monsters, you're good on deny monsters, and you're in the market for an attacker, well, it goes without saying that the best dark attacker is Barbatos. By far, he's the undisputed dark master. Barbatos, as you may already know, has a skill that gives him double damage and extra turn, stamina regeneration, and aside from that, he has a skill called Master of Pain that's 90 damage, 100% accuracy, no cooldown. Yes, it consumes 30% of his life, but if you combine that with the fact that he can give himself 2x damage, Barbatos can deal the most amount of damage in a single hit. He's absolutely phenomenal. There's honestly no other attacker like Barbatos in the game, so if you're in the market for an attacker, I highly recommend Barbatos. And then looking at this list, we have quite a number of other good attackers. You know, we have Collectus, Count Vlad is a pretty good attacker with life draining abilities, but I think a favorite of many people would be Fenrir. And Fenrir is unique because not only does he have one of the highest powers in the game, his power is actually a lot higher than Barbatos. He also has no cooldown on his skills, which is pretty darn unique for a monster. But what I personally love about Fenrir is that not only is he offensive, he can also be one of the best support characters in the whole entire game. And that's because he has a skill that gives triple damage. However, the fallback is that the monster he gives triple damage to is stunned for one turn. So that skill is called Rage of Fenrir. And as you can see there, target will deal 200% more damage to may stun target, and triple damage actually lasts for 3 turns. Now the reason this skill is actually really good is because if you recall I mentioned that Harusami is going to be released, and he actually has immune to stun. A monster like Harusami who's immune to stun, imagine partnering him up with Fenrir, that is going to be one deadly team, one deadly combination. So that's one reason why you might want to pick up Fenrir. Overall, he really is a good monster. Does he compare with Barbatos? I don't think so. I think Barbatos is, like I said, he's the undisputed damage dealer for dark monsters, and overall in the whole game, he's just undisputed. And as far as attackers go, I think Barbatos and Fenrir would be the only 2 monsters I recommend. Now I'm not saying the other ones are bad, I'm just saying those 2 monsters really stand out. I do also want to give a few shoutouts to certain monsters that are pretty darn amazing. The first of which is Lily. Lily is like the queen of possessing monsters, and the reason that she might actually come in handy is that imagine in Team Wars a scenario where you're going up against like it's common, water, dark, and your opponent obviously has a water monster as a main deny monster. You can use Lily as your main deny monster, and instead of going the usual route of picking the water deny monster and doing like stamina devours or AoE freeze, use Lily to do possession on the enemy's deny monster, and then hopefully the AI is dumb and basically immobilize its own teammate. So you'd basically just be using your opponent's own deny monster against them. So Lily Shut can definitely be a good monster. Another monster worth mentioning is Akhenaten. Akhenaten is phenomenal because he has a skill that gives the enemy, it's an AoE, it gives them negative 75% accuracy. Can you imagine that? Starting off with this skill, the enemy is not going to be able to hit you. Minus 75% accuracy, good luck hitting AoEs, good luck even hitting a single hit. Now the drawback to Akhenaten is he actually has one of the lowest speeds for dark monsters. Thankfully he does have immune to possession, but as I already mentioned earlier, monsters like Mommy, Will Razorface, and Krampus, they don't even need possession, they have stun and they have freeze. So just keep that in mind if you're deciding to buy Akhenaten. And no recommendation can be complete without talking about MMO. Now MMO overall is not one of the best monsters. I normally wouldn't recommend him. The only reason I'm actually recommending him is because he does serve a purpose in an adventure map. Lots of people still struggle with the adventure map because they don't have their hands on a Timerion. What MMO monster does is that he basically helps you clear adventure map a lot easier than you normally would. He has a skill called 3 dislikes, which takes away 30% of the enemy's health. He has a skill called 2 dislikes, which takes away 20% of the enemy's health. And he has a skill called 1 dislike, which takes away 10%. And when you're going up against opponents that have a huge life, the bosses in an adventure map, those skills really come in handy. But again, it's really up to you if you want to spend 225 gems on this monster, whose purpose really is only to help you in adventure map. You can also just use items, and you could also just get better runes to help you clear adventure map a lot easier. So by no means do you absolutely need this monster. I also want to give a shout out to Master Skill, who is a favorite of many people, myself included. If you're not familiar with him, he has a skill called Omega Waves, Beta Waves, Alpha Waves, and it's basically an AoE skill that gives negative effects. Omega Waves specifically gives 2 negative effects, and aside from that he also has a possession skill, and aside from that he also has a stun skill. So this monster is absolutely phenomenal. Lots of people love him, myself included. And the last monster I want to give a shout out to is the Ringer. Now yes, the Ringer is one of the slowest dark monsters in the game, but also apparently for some reason his skill is still bugged and he has an AoE 70 damage skill. This is a regular AoE skill, it's not a special. Because of the fact that he has this skill, I thought it'd be worth mentioning because with him it's super easy to clear dungeons, it's super easy to clear adventure map. You know, just pair him up with a monster that can give him 2x damage and precision, and you just have yourself a deadly monster. And I'm going back to the list to make sure I didn't miss anyone. MMO, Noctum, Dr. Hazard, Will Razorface, get him, Mommy, get her, Sir Slumberly, Erebus, Krampus, Lostigos, Fenrir, Collectus, Master Skill, Count Vlad, Akhenotep, Punchy, the Ringer, Lily, Seraphim, Barbatos, Lotan, Wisteria. Of those 3 epics, if you really want to buy one, I think all those 3 epics are actually good. So Social Point is actually selling some of the better epics. Punchy just has overall really good stats, one of the highest powers for epics if I recall correctly. And Wisteria, for those of you that don't know, it's just cool because she has 2 skills that's an AoE negative effects, which in my opinion is always awesome to run. And Seraphim is just a really good light and dark epic monster. So it's really up to you guys if you want to buy epics. Normally I don't recommend buying epics. It's really just about the legendaries, and in this case, to repeat myself, buy Krampus, buy Mommy, buy Will Razorface, buy Barbatos, and buy Fenrir. Those are my top 5 recommendations in that order. Again, keep in mind, I'm just a regular player like all of you guys, so by no means do you have to listen to me. If you want to get someone else, go ahead and get whoever you want. But those are my top 5 recommendations and my reasons for why I like those 5 monsters. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you everyone who made it to the very end. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I want you guys to comment below if you agree or disagree with my recommendations, and if you're gonna buy someone, who are you gonna buy? And with all that being said guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to dream big and pursue your passions.